Trigger warning: if you are scared of blood, gore, cursing, rape, any of those ones, please do not watch. Thank you. Hello, my name is Boba T. Barrett, and this is my podcast of scary stories, creepypasta, horror movie theories, etc. Trigger warning: if you are afraid of any of these, please leave. I don't want to get sued or anything because you got scared of that. So for this first episode, I will be talking about Sally Williams from Creepypasta. Sally is a little girl who was sadly killed and raped by her uncle known as Uncle Johnny. Her most famous quote is, "Play with me." She had told her mother about Uncle Johnny and what he has done, but her mother didn't believe her. When Sally was killed, her mother then realized that she wasn't having a nightmare or a bad dream. It was actually Johnny who killed her. Johnny killed Sally with a brick as the most known tool he has used. He drove her to Slenderman's Woods, which is where Uncle Johnny buried Sally's body. While her spirit remained attached to her house, she also saw and worked with Slenderman. While working with him, she meets others who aren't the same but have similar background stories. There at Slenderman's mansion, she meets a little girl named Lazari. In the next episode, I will be talking about Lazari, but there are some more interesting things I would like for y'all to know about Sally's background, etc. So I will be talking about that as well. So get comfy with a pillow, blanket, food, and some water. Sally Marianne Williams, more commonly known as Sally, is the main protagonist of the creepypasta story Play With Me. She is a young female spirit who was killed by her uncle. Ever since her unfortunate death, Sally continues to haunt her old house, scaring the living daylights out of its current residents and happily playing with its younger ones. Her origin. Sally was a happy 12-year-old girl living with her parents in a small town. One day, Sally's uncle, Johnny, came to her home and befriended Sally at first. After tucking Sally in bed, Johnny raped Sally and told her not to tell anyone what he did since it was only a game. Sally stayed quiet about this as this sexual abuse went on, and one day when Sally's mother and Sally were alone, Sally burst into tears and tries to tell her mother what happened by saying, "I didn't want to play this game." Her mother didn't understand, sadly, and just excused her crying as a bad dream. Johnny had then overheard Sally's mother telling Sally's father about what Sally had just told her. Burning with rage, Johnny then told Sally's mother that he was heading to the store and he was taking Sally with him, since she allegedly wanted to go too. Johnny, with Sally in his car, then traveled to the park instead of the market. He pinned Sally to the ground, beat her up, and violated her again before smashing her head with a rock, killing her and leaving her dead on the grass. Sally came back as a poltergeist, and after scaring her uncle to death in his jail cell, she stays back in her old house, playing with the kids and scaring the older people. Sally normally appears as a young girl with a pink, dirty, and blood-stained dress and white socks. Her eyes are bright green, her hair is curly and brown. Her skin is normally seen as dirty with cuts and bruises all over her body. Sally is a kind, silly, playful, and somewhat of a trickster. She can get jealous over small things, such as new people getting to know her playmates, believing that they're trying to take them away from her. She likes having most of the attention, usually trying to outdo someone for it, which comes down to her being a trickster. Despite being wary around most adults, loving to scare/prank people, and throwing the occasional grossly destructive temper tantrum, she's mostly neutral towards everyone, but who can really blame her? She is a kid after all. Sally can float a few feet off the ground, phase through solid objects, lift certain sized objects. It varies on how angry she is at the time though. Angrier she is, the bigger the object. This has the effect of draining a lot of energy of her though. so she usually is less active until she can gather enough energy to repeat and shapeshift between an 8-year-old and a 12-year-old. Sally likes coloring and drawing. She likes playing with dolls. She likes Mr. D. She likes Mr. D and Mr. Death, which is her teddy bears. Typical girlish things, dresses, makeup, and anything that's really pink. Playing any kind of games, scaring people, watching cartoons, and pranking them. She dislikes mentions of her Uncle Johnny, killing, spiders, getting in trouble, getting in the way of anyone, the forest at night, dismissive parents, or being abandoned. Facts. Sally was created by La Misha Misha. She was originally 8 in the original story, but is now revamped to be 12. Sally is one of the only few youngest and famous creepypasta characters. Her birthday is April 5th, 1958, and she died on the same day in 1970. She measures in 4 feet 8 inches when 12 and 4 inches when 8. I mean feet, I am so sorry. She doesn't kill any more people and hates seeing innocent people get hurt. All she does is scare people. The only person she has ever killed is her uncle, whom she scared to death in his jail cell. Sally always carries her teddy bear, Mr. D or Mr. Death. And due to her strong attachment with it, Sally has never been seen without it. Sally is not related to Ben Drown. Sally died long before Ben Drown was ever born. Sally's full name is Sally Miriam Dawn. She didn't like her original last name of Williams due to her past trauma, so she decided to change it to Dawn.
What's that? Who's there?
Do you remember me, Uncle Johnny? I played your game, and you hurt me.
Sally, you're supposed to be dead.
Yes, I know. You made sure of that.
Hey, I was just trying to make sure you played the game right. I didn't mean to kill you. Honest.
Well, I want to play my game. Do you want to play with me?
I think I had one too many drinks tonight. I'm seeing shit, that's all. This is all in my head, you stupid little...
If it's all in your head, then you won't feel this.
You little whore. How the hell did you do that?
Funny that you mentioned hell. You'll be going there soon. Besides, I thought this was all in your head.
No. Oh my God. What the hell are you?
I am the darkness within. I am your greatest fear. I am what you made me.
Please.
You know, I've always hated this kitchen. You keep too many sharp objects, Uncle Johnny.
Sally. Please. Sweetheart. I'm sorry.
Not yet, you aren't. But you're about to be.
Sally. No!
You lost, Uncle Johnny. You weren't playing the game right. Now, You know how it felt when I lost your game. What was that?
My name is Sally. And I'm 7. And I'm dead. But that's okay. That's okay. I had an uncle, and they call him Uncle Johnny. He did things to me. He said it was a game. I didn't want to play his game. I told Mommy, but she thought I had a bad dream. But it wasn't a bad dream. It was real. And then Uncle Johnny found out, and he... he killed me. But it's okay now. Because now we're both dead.
Speeding across the country in someone else's car, keeping a book of secrets and taking it too far. When we were sleeping in motels, of course I'm just giving some details, and we would break all the windows to feel the wind on our skin. How long did you think we could make it? How far did you think we could take it? We couldn't be bothered, we didn't have time to think so far ahead. How long did you think we could make it? How far did you think we could take it? How bad did we want it? And good did it feel? Driving fast until we crashed into each other's arms. Keep that wheel down, take my heart. That wheel down, keep that wheel down, take my heart. That wheel down, keep that wheel down, take my heart. That wheel down, keep that wheel down, take my heart. Until we crashed into each other's arms. Feeling across your body in someone else's bed, reading our book of secrets aloud and in our head. And we were sleeping in motels, of course I'm just giving some details, and we would break all the windows to feel the wind on our skin. How long did you think we could make it? How far did you think we could take it? We couldn't be bothered, we didn't have time to think so far ahead. How long did you think we could make it? How far did you think we could take it? How bad did we want it? And good did it feel? Driving fast until we crashed into each other's arms.
Sally was 8 years old and was a polite, cheerful, and very obedient girl. Like any other day, she was playing in the street with her friends when her mother, Mary, called her to eat. During lunch, she told her that her uncle was coming to visit, something that made the little girl very happy. A few days later, Uncle Johnny arrived at the family home, awakening everyone's joy. After greeting Sally's parents, they caught up with the news. Johnny had parted ways with Karen, his wife, but he seemed happy with that. They had a family dinner and everyone raved about the delicious dishes Sally's mother prepared. But the little girl was very sleepy and had been rubbing her eyes for a while. It was time to go to bed. Her uncle offered to walk her to her bedroom. He carried her in his arms and together they entered the room. Johnny closed the door behind him and looked at the terrible disorder that reigned in the room. That amused him. Together, they looked for the pajamas that the little girl would wear. Even he joked about finding some with strawberries. In the end, they chose one with the unicorns. They both loved them. Her uncle began to undress her, but the girl told him that she could do it herself. However, he continued with the work. He put her pajamas on, and soon after, Sally's mother came in to see if they could manage on their own. She kissed her daughter, and Uncle Johnny told her that he would stay with her for a while longer. She smiled and left them alone. But Uncle Johnny had a strange face. He was going to do something very bad. As the days passed, Mary noticed that the girl was very strange. Her character had completely changed. She was sad. Therefore, she approached to talk to her and asked if everything was alright. Without saying anything, the girl began to cry inconsolably. When she could, she stammered, "Mom, I didn't want to play his game." After telling her what happened, her mother told her that it had just been a nightmare and that she had to forget about it. She held her tight to comfort her. She later told her husband that her daughter was having horrible nightmares. While they were talking, Johnny interrupted them to let them know that he was going to the store and that he could take Sally. The mother agreed and Sally reluctantly got into his car. But when they passed the supermarket, her uncle just kept going. He did not stop his car. He was smiling at the wheel, and the girl was behind, totally terrified. Finally, her uncle parked the car in an old, disused park. When he stopped the engine, he turned and, addressing the girl, he said, "You have broken the rules of the game. You said you would play, and you did not do well." Then he got out of the car and also took the girl out. "You have to be punished for breaking the rules." That same day, a couple found the girl's body in the park. She was dead. A few days later, a teenager heard strange noises as he was about to go to bed. He thought he had closed the door tightly, but still got up to look. As he approached it, he heard a moan, like a woman's crying. And then he saw a hunched girl, covered in blood and crying. "Who are you?" he asked. The girl stopped crying and more blood began to flow from her body. Then she said, "This is my home." Sally had snuck into her old home, where she'd been happy with her parents so many times. With a serious face, she turned to the boy and said, "Do you want to play? Play with me." If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like it. And if you want to see more Draw My Life videos, subscribe to our